صل على نبينا.
Our lives are busier than ever. The daily grind can get so intense that every hour, every minute, every second of our day is pre-planned and scheduled in advance. And as we try to excel, whether it's in our schoolwork, whether it's in our employment and in our jobs and careers, often we end up forgetting about the things and the people that matter most in our lives. We often end up neglecting the people that matter most. Oftentimes, as we pursue the daily grind, it's our families. It may be our parents, our spouses, it may be our children who end up being neglected and suffering. Now, no matter how busy we are, we still look to the Uswa Hasana, to the beautiful example of Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when we look to his example, and he was a person who was the busiest of all people. You know, he had the responsibility on his shoulders of guiding all of mankind. You know, that's an immense responsibility nobody has ever had. And so we can arguably say he was busier than anyone else in history. More responsibility on his shoulders than anyone else. A bigger job to do than anyone else. Yet we look at his example and we find that no matter how busy he was, no matter how much of a burden and responsibility was on his shoulders, his family life never was neglected. He showed an amazing display of balance, that he never had his family suffer, or never did he fail in the obligations to his family because of this. We find in these narrations how whenever his foster mother would come and visit, he would make time and make effort to go and respect her. He would make time and effort to sit with her and to show her that respect. We find in narrations that even with his children and his grandchildren, he would take time out on a regular basis to spend time with them, to play with them. There's narrations of his grandkids. You know, he would be crawling on the ground like an animal, and his grandkids would be sitting on his back. And he would take time to play with his kids like that. He would hold races with his nephews and nieces. We find narrations that he would go to the mosque with a grandchild, either Hazrat Umama Razillahu Anha or Hazrat Imam Hussain, on his shoulders. And he would pray with them on his shoulders. We find these narrations how he would spend time with his wives at home and tell them stories and laugh and joke with them. We find narrations how once he took Hazrat Aisha Razillahu Anha, and there was an Abyssinian group putting on these displays of practices of war. And him and Hazrat Aisha Razillahu Anha would stand there and watch that display of courage. They took time out to spend time together. They would eat together. Once the Prophet ﷺ was invited to a place to eat, and he refused to go unless he was allowed to bring his wife with him. And so if the busiest person in the history of humanity could take out time for his family, for his parents and his spouses and his children, then how can we be too busy that we're neglecting our families? So in this month, as we try our best to follow the Uswa Hasana of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, let's make an effort this month to establish in our minds a simple action item, simple goals to follow his example and his practice. Not that we neglect other responsibilities, not that we stop trying to excel. But on top of that, do something nice for your wife during this month. On top of that, during this month, do something to help out with household chores in the month. This was something that Rasulullah regularly did. He would mend his own shoes, he would take care of his own business. In this month, take that extra effort to spend an extra hour or so just playing and having fun with your children. And inshallah, as we do this, we will be on our path and on that journey to following the Uswa Hasana, the beautiful example of Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
صل على